Hi, my name is Abby Kerr. I'm a budding instructional designer, a mom to a toddler, an avid reader, and a former tutor and preschool teacher. Reading is super important to me, but in a busy family life, sometimes it gets forgotten, and it's hard to figure out how to make reading interesting for kids. As most parents know, reading is super important, especially in the early childhood years, which are from 0 to 5. Reading during the early childhood years can be great neurologically, educationally, psychologically, linguistically, and socially. But sometimes it's hard to figure out where the balance is and how to make reading fun for your kids. Reading does more than teach kids about language. In this chart by the National Education Service, it shows that kids who are read to more frequently have the ability to count to 20 or higher before kids who are read to not as frequently. So the benefits are there. It's just how do you use them? Reading is more than just saying words to a child and them learning language. It's also about them being able to use their gross motor skills for writing their own names. Children who are read to more often have the ability to write their names faster and recognize letters more than children are. Another survey done by the National Education Alliance. Sure, sure, data and numbers are great, but in reality, reading isn't as idyllic as my partner reading to my daughter in a chair and she's listening. Sometimes it's messy and hard, and kids don't want to do it. So, what do you do when this is the reality? A lot of parents feel this every night. Their kid doesn't want to sit in their lap and read. Their kid wants to run around, be silly, go to bed, anything but read. And parents who are stressed with trying to make ends meet and all the resources that have already been tapped are tired. What do they do? This is where interactive reading comes in. It's more than just reading aloud to your child. Interactive reading techniques have been shown to help kids understand vocabulary words that are larger and more quickly than kids who don't have interactive reading techniques done to them. This is a study done by the University of Buffalo. The major thing about this is that you have to change your idea about what reading is to you. It's not that idyllic picture of a child sitting in your lap playing. It's more about getting them to interact with the story and be present in the moment with you than it is about finishing the story and having them look at all the pictures. So here are some techniques. So here are some interactive reading techniques that educators use for older kids that I've kind of fitted to mold into the early childhood years. All you need to remember to read to your kids are these 4 consonants: L for language, M for movement, N for number, G for games. So let's start with some of the CDC's recommendations for developmental goals around language. From saying mom and dad at 1, to saying sentences to 2 to 4 words at 2, at 3 being able to say 150 to 300 word vocabulary, at 4 using a memory to finish stories, and 5 writing their own letters and numbers. How the heck do we make our kids get to these developmental goals? Well, we sing songs and we read to them even when they're just playing around in the room. Put on kids' podcasts. Make language and vocabulary and learning new words fun. Make it a game. Reward them when they do a really good job at it. And remember to write in front of them and have them help you. Here's some CDC more recommended goals. By 1, they should be able to follow simple instructions. 2, be able to point to things that they're talking about. 3, be able to turn the page one at a time. 4, catch a bounce ball. And 5, print letters and numbers. These are big jumps for a kid to make in their life. So how do we use interactive reading techniques for it? Movement means just that. Move around, change the way that you're doing reading. Nobody wants to sit stationary. So why don't you read to your kids while they're eating? Read to them in the bathtub. Try to change the way you think about reading as a stationary thing into movement in games and acting out verbs and stories and language with them. We all know that numbers and math are super important. Here are some CDC recommended goals around numbers. 1, be able to put things in and out of a container. 2, name items. 3, understand the meaning of 2. 4, understand counting. And 5, counts to 10 or more, know shapes, and more about money and its values. Using numbers is a really great, easy thing to do during reading because numbers are everywhere in books, and being able to count through the pictures and have them count with you. Always, if you see a number in a book, count it out first. Count through the pictures. Have them count it out. Pick up toys and let them count with it. Express numbers whenever you can. Developmental goals around games. CDC recommended. At 1, should play peekaboo and patty cake. 2, find things and sort things by colors and shape. 3, play make-believe. 4, sequence in books like What's Next and can play games. And 5, telling and creating their own stories in games. Games are my favorite. Games are a great way to teach about sequencing and numbers and all the other stuff that we've already covered. And you can play make-believe stories where you use your favorite characters from their favorite books. Also, a great thing to do is play a game of what's going to happen next and have them guess what's happening next in the book to teach sequencing. So all this information is great, but where do you get free resources? Well, check out your local library for story times and to talk to librarians about other different interactive reading techniques that you can use with your kid to get them more interested in reading. Another really great program is the Dolly Parton Imagination Library. It is dedicated to giving free books to kids from ages 0 to 5. So if you sign up, you can get a free book once a month until your kid turns 5. Check it out at imaginationlibrary.com. In summation, I hope you figured out what some of the benefits are to reading to your kid, what interactive reading is, and what are some techniques around interactive reading that you can implement in your life to make reading and education a little bit easier and a less stressful time for you and your kid.